So welcome to a little video that I'm going to put together just to show you how to clean your airbrush properly. You might be new to airbrushing, you might have just purchased your first airbrush, could be one of the Harder and Steenbeck Ultras or one of their new Evolution CR Plus airbrushes. So it's very important that you feel like you're doing something wrong, so you're cleaning it properly and you're not going to break something or damage something. So if we just run through, firstly, the airbrush like so. So imagine now that you've been using your airbrush and you've got various bits of paint in there. You're either maybe even changing colour and you want to change into another colour. But let's imagine you come to the end of your airbrushing day and you want to clean out the airbrush. So what we generally do, I'll just attach this airbrush to an airline here, which I've got the quick release fitting like so. And what I generally do is just run some of the airbrush cleaner. Now this is the Harder and Steenbeck airbrush cleaner, and it is for water-based paints, acrylics. And I just generally fill up the cup like so. And then I will get an old artist brush and just inside the cup like so, round and round in all the areas in the bottom of the airbrush, as you can see there, and just get all the excess paint off the sides of the cup, and then simply just spray out all that cleaner. And if you're using a very dark paint, you might want to do this 2 or 3 times just to make sure that everything in the cup there is come out and everything's clean. And as you get through to the end there, you'll notice it'll all sort of bubble out and stop spraying through. There, you can imagine how far paint does go when you're doing that. So that's all nice and clean. Like I say, you might want to do that a couple of times and it just saves a lot of messing around and damaging the airbrush. So after that, you want to probably look at just cleaning the needle, because there will be a build-up of paint on the needle and also at the front of this air cap here, and also on the nozzle, which I'll just show you in a minute. But if we first off just take the barrel of the airbrush off like so, and you'll see the needle locking sort of grub screw there. Just undo that and the needle should just pull out nicely like so. And this comes out. There we go. I'll just put the airbrush down for a second. Now, as you can see there, the end of the needle is very delicate and you don't want to snag that on anything or get what is called a hook on the end. So what I tend to do is just get a piece of tissue that might be soaked in a bit of cleaner and just drag the needle back over the tissue. So as you can see like so, dragging it over there, and that gets all the excess paint off the end of the needle. So if we just put that down for 1 second, and we'll have a look at the front of the airbrush, because you imagine the paint goes into the cup and it only really goes past here, because there is like an O-ring there that stops the paint coming back into the trigger. So as we take off the what's called the air cap or nozzle needle cap, various different names, you'll notice at the end there you've got the nozzle inside that. So that is the airbrush nozzle. Now you can tell the difference with these different sizes. There are bands going around the nozzle here, so if you ever need to know which one is, just look up how many bands it should have and it will tell you if it's a 0.4, a 0.6 or a 0.2. But if you just check in there that there's no paint that's been stuck inside the nozzle, because eventually there will be a build-up there. Now Harder and Steenbeck do a great little cleaning set, and I've got all the contents here actually. There are various cleaning brushes and one device called a reamer, which is a little tool, and this unscrews like so. And this has got a very, very sharp point on the end like so. And it's perfect just for taking out the bits of paint that might have got stuck inside the nozzle. But very carefully, don't force that in there, and just generally just spin it round, and that should bring out any of the dry colour that's in there. Again, don't be tempted to push anything up the nozzle, because people tried to cocktail sticks and all sorts trying to push paint out, because what will happen is the nozzle at the end there will split. And that's, again, no use, because it will deem that useless, because you'll just get bubbling up in the cup. These are a very soft metal, and they don't take much to actually damage them if you start poking things inside. So I'll just put that reamer away like so. And once you see that that's all clean, what I tend to do is just maybe soak that in a bit of cleaner. So I have a little glass bottle here, or any, and just drop that in there, give it a clean, and maybe even just again get an artist brush and just clean around the edges, make sure everything's clean there. And that's the same for the air cap, because that will eventually again get little bits of paint in, especially at the end here. And if you just get some cleaner and just clean the end like so, and that's all clean there. Now, putting the airbrush back together again is fairly straightforward. Oh, I'll just show you some of these brushes as well, because these are very useful just for getting in various areas of the airbrush which you can't get to in anything else, because again, you might get a buildup of paint. You'll just see down there, that's where the air comes over the nozzle and needle. So if you just make sure that there's no paint stuck in there, so a good clean out in there. Now, this is a really deep clean, so it's you know, you don't have to do this every time. You might just want to spray some cleaner through and just make sure the needle's clean. So putting it back together, what we tend to do is just slip the nozzle inside the air cap like so, and just offer that up to the airbrush and make sure the thread's in the right place there, and just twist that tight, just finger tight. You don't have to go too mad. And for putting the needle back in the airbrush, again, just be very careful. As I mentioned, it's a very, very fine needle at the end there. And now the beauty of the Ultra, again, it has a nice little funneled area, so you just place that like so. One thing to be wary of, make sure the trigger hasn't lifted up, and just push until you feel a little bit of resistance. That's the actual gland at the front there, the nitrile O-ring, which stops paint coming back. And when you've pitched the end there, just give it a little twist and then tighten up the little grub screw there. And you'll notice when you pull back, you'll see that it pulls back the needle there, like so. Like so, there we go. And then simply put the barrel back on the end of the airbrush, and that is it. That's the airbrush clean. And that will work for all types of airbrush. It's just very simple. You don't have to strip any of this down or take any of the trigger out or anything like that. Just a simple clean. And again, if you need any help or any advice, by all means, give us a call here at Graphics Direct, and we will help out as best we can.